made a video about anti-Semitism in the book community, and I didn't expect what happened next. Not really. I expected disagreement. That's normal. That's healthy. What I didn't expect was how fast things moved behind the scenes. How quickly people started deleting things, whole chats got yeeted off the internet. How quickly certain conversations vanished. And this is the part that stuck with me. A lot of people reached out and said, yeah, I've seen this too, or I've been affected by this. Not publicly, never publicly, but privately a lot. And that video didn't do huge numbers. So this is not a gotcha video. I'm not here with a list of names. I'm not interested in playing internet detective. There are other people doing that now. But I am going to talk about the response, because the response tells you more than the original video could. There were a lot of dislikes, and I mean a lot of them. Enough that YouTube quietly stepped in and removed around 250 dislikes on that video. They came in thick and very fast within minutes. Which, let's be real, you can take that however you want. But it raises a question. If what I said didn't matter, why the urgency to bury it? Why? Take that as you will. Now, some of the pushback I saw, both in comments and messages, basically boiled down to this. Welcome to the real world. Men have been dealing with this in publishing for years. This group have been dealing with it in publishing for years. This and that and this and that. Alright, here's the thing. Two things can be true at the same time. Talking about anti-Semitism does not erase anything else, any other issues. Talking about one problem doesn't cancel the other out. And I've spoken about that before at length. It's not my fault you didn't watch the videos. But more importantly, this isn't a competition. Oppression isn't top trumps. You don't win by having the worst hand. If there is a bias in publishing, and there is, we should be capable of talking about it. All of it, without immediately trying to redial the conversation and redirect it into other places. Because the second you do that, you're not engaging, you're deflecting. They are two massively different things. After that video went up, I started noticing something. Patterns. Certain phrases, certain conversations, certain ways people talked about when they thought no one was outside, when no one outside their circle was listening. And I'm going to be careful here because some of the language I can't repeat, not on this platform. But phrases like the right kind of Jew, suspected Jew, confirmed Jew. Let that sit for a second. That isn't criticism of a book, that's not a discussion of ideas, that's categorizing people. And once you start categorizing people like that, history has a habit of showing you where it leads. So let's talk about publishing a little bit. There are people working in publishing, agents, marketeers, industry professionals, who present themselves as the champions of inclusion. They boost the right posts, they use the right language, they show up publicly in all the ways you're supposed to. And behind closed doors, well, a different story. Conversation in Discord servers, private group chats, Voxer, back-channel discussions about who is safe to work with and who isn't. Not based on books, not based on writing, based on identity, or worse, based on an assumption. I've seen examples of people being discussed, dismissed, or avoided, not because of anything they said publicly, no political opinions, but someone somewhere decided they might be Jewish. That's it. Not confirmed, not related to their work in any way, just suspected. And this is the part people I don't think want to acknowledge. Because it's easy to pretend this stuff is abstract. It's not. I know people personally who have had opportunities disappear. Conversations that were moving forward just stop. Deals that look promising quietly dropped. No explanation, no statements, just gone. And now we kind of know why. It was not because of what they wrote and not because of some controversial tweet. It was because of who they are or who someone decided they were. That's it. Then you've got the lists, and yeah, we need to talk about that again. Lists of names being passed around, people flagged, categorized, grouped together. Some of these people aren't even Jewish. One writer on a list, not because of anything is on a list, not because of anything he did, but because his wife is Jewish. And what's being said about her is genuinely disgusting. So let's be clear, if you're making lists on identity, if you're deciding who should or shouldn't be supported based on that, that should make you uncomfortable. If it doesn't make you uncomfortable, that's a problem. Now, I understand why more people aren't speaking up. I do. Because this isn't risk-free. If you're a big creator, you've got a safety net, you've got an audience, you've got leverage. If you're smaller, if you're a writer trying to break in, if you don't have connections, if you don't have a backup plan, speaking up can cost you. So people stay quiet or they disappear. No big announcements, no drama, just stop showing up. And unless you're paying attention, you don't even notice they've gone. For me, the biggest thing to come out of all of this is losing respect for people I used to genuinely enjoy. People I engaged with, supported and watched. And when you see what's being said when they think no one's looking, you can't really unsubscribe it. So yeah, I unsubscribed, I've unfollowed quietly, because not everything needs to be a public performance. But that change, that internal, oh, you're like that then, that kind of sticks. I'm proud of my heritage. I'm proud of where I come from. And I know that makes people uncomfortable. But that's not my problem to solve. What is worth holding on to is this. The messages I got after that video, people saying, I thought I was the only one noticing this. People saying I didn't have words for it until now. People telling me their stories, their real experience with receipts. That matters. So here's where I land on all of this. If you see conversations about who or who shouldn't be supported based on identity, any identity, if you're seeing language that reduces people to categories, if you're seeing behaviour that doesn't match the inclusive image being presented publicly, it should make you pause. If it doesn't, that's worth interrogating. That's worth looking at, and that's worth having maybe a conversation with yourself. I said this in my last video and I'll say it again. If you're using words like anti-human, pathological, or barbarian to describe an entire group of people, you are not the good guys in that story, no matter how you frame it. And I think whether people like it or not, we're going to have to start being a bit louder about that. I'm Dov James, and if this resonated, please tell me your stories. I'll say the obligated like, subscribe, do whatever, check out memberships, Patreon, whatever, but that's not why I'm doing this. I did this because maybe it's time to make some noise. Maybe it's time to be loud. Maybe it's time to say something. That's being honest.